Well, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It is always such a great honor and pleasure to welcome to the interview room two giants of the game who have so profoundly impacted the game of golf and the Masters tournament. Nicklaus and Gary Player have a combined total of 9 green jackets and 97 tournament appearances at Augusta National. Thank you both for officially starting the '84 Masters. Please tell us something about this morning's Honorary starter ceremony and what it means to you to be here for this historic November tournament. Jack, may we start with you, sir?
Well, it was. I was pleased that it was dark because you couldn't see where my ball went. Start off with that, and I think it's a nice tradition that we have here at Augusta. I remember when I first started, they had Freddie Hutchinson, which was Jock Hudson, Freddie McLeod. Got it backwards. And is that what it was when you started, Gary?
Yeah.
Yeah. And they've had starters ever since, a tradition. And of course, with Arnold and Gary and I doing it, it's been fun. We miss Arnold, but it's a nice tradition.
Gary?
Well, I think historically, if you go back to Jock Hutchinson and Freddie McLeod, then Sam Snead and Gene Sarazen. And Gene Sarazen was the first winner of the Grand Slam, and Sam Snead was this phenomenal golfer and unbelievable athlete. And then along came Jack, Arnold, and I think Jack appropriately said we miss Arnold, particularly when we walked on the tee that day and his jacket was on the chair, and Jack and I were very choked up about it. But he's watching the tournament, preparing for a long driving competition upstairs. So we're not in a hurry to get there, but we will eventually.
On Monday, Chairman Fred Ridley made some exciting announcements honoring Lee Elder with 2 scholarships in his name at Payne College and recognizing his impact and legacy at the Masters. He also announced that Lee will be joining the two of you as honorary starters in April of 2021. Gary, if we may start with you, what were your thoughts when you heard the news about your great friend, Lee Elder?
Well, first of all, I was extremely excited because Lee Elder in 1969, in the midst of our turbulent society in South Africa, I asked him to visit South Africa. And he was put under a lot of pressure by certain groups here, and I was called a traitor. And so he came down there and must have been very nervous. And he had the courage to accept the invitation and come down there knowing what a great deed he would be doing. And it was very influential because at that stage, no black visitors or people of any color were visiting South Africa. And I think he encouraged a lot of, at that stage, we still had a lot of young black potential golfers, but they didn't have a hero, so to speak. And to have Lee Elder come down there and was remarkable. And it went off extremely well. We went to other venues as well. But he's had a rough ride. And, when you live the kind of lives that we've had, and you think of the rough ride that he had, it was most appropriate to be asking him to do it. And I compliment Jaime Diaz, who phoned me and asked me if I would phone Mr. Ridley, and Augusta. I've got to really commend them on inviting Lee and taking that step. I think it's just the most wonderful thing, one of the most wonderful things I've seen. And when you go back in history and you think of people like Charlie Sifford, who wasn't allowed to play, it's been a rough road for these guys.
And Jack, what are your thoughts about this special man?
Well, I think when Lee became the first African-American to play here, 1975? And he played, I think, about 7 times? Yeah. And, I thought that was great that Lee was invited to play, and to honor him now is, I think, very appropriate. I'm delighted. I look forward to teeing up with him next year.
Good. Thank you, sir. Thank you again for both spending some time with us today. We now shall open for questions, and the first is to Cameron Morfitt.
Thanks. Gary got to this a little bit already, but I was wondering what your favorite memory of either playing with Lee or doing something with him off the course was.
It's very difficult to hear with that mask on. Sorry.
I was wondering if you had a favorite memory of playing golf with Lee or whether you'd been paired with him very much.
If I'm hearing correctly, my favorite moment of playing with Lee was obviously in South Africa, because it was historic. It was something that I doubted whether I would ever live to see. Thank goodness we had the big change that we did with Mandela coming along, this remarkable man. But that goes down and with my memory of Lee, by far the best. And I played with him on the tour here and played a lot of practice rounds, but nothing compared to that.
69?
69.
Yeah. What course?
Pardon?
What golf course?
We played in Johannesburg at a place called Huddle Park. Huddle, Huddle Park.
Thank you.
Sam Farmer?
Jack and Gary, I'm interested over here. I'm interested in the tradition of the crow's nest and staying in the crow's nest. Any memories? It's my understanding, Jack, that you got a supplemental food bill, having gone down multiple times, but I'm not sure about that. And
Well, I stayed at the Crow's Nest 1959. We had Phil Rogers, Dean Beeman, Ward Wetlaufer, Tommy Aaron, and myself. We stayed there. And that's not a very big place if you happen to go look at it for 5 guys. One bathroom, one shower, but we all stayed there. And of course, Phil and I were the big eaters at the time. And so the amateurs had to be charged for their food. So they charged us $1 for breakfast, $1 for lunch, and $2 for dinner. And Phil and I would, generally speaking, have 2 steaks at night. And they came to us after a couple of nights and says, gentlemen, you're abusing the thing of eating 2 steaks. He says, we're going to have to charge you $2 a piece. I said, that'll be quite all right.
John?
Crow's Nest was fun, though.
And I'm sorry, Gary, any memories?
I don't actually remember being in the Crow's Nest, staying there, but I did have the honor of staying in the cottages, which were fantastic. And also, obviously, when President Eisenhower was here, that was a treat to be in the same room. And also with Clifford Roberts, who was a remarkable man. And also great memories of Bobby Jones. And I had a lovely little story about Bobby Jones, because he was sitting next to me at the Champions Room, and he was bent over and riddled with arthritis, as you know. And he asked me to put the fork in his hand, and I put it through like that and like that. And he said, would you mind cutting my meat? So I cut his meat into little squares, of which he did that, and ate it. And then I was always wanting to ask him a question. I said, Mr. Jones, may I ask you a question, sir? He said, certainly. I said, you designed the golf course. I can never birdie the 3rd hole. And his reply was, you're not supposed to birdie the 3rd hole. And how he would be turning in his grave now to see Bryson DeChambeau saying, well, I'm taking a 3-wood just to put it in the middle of the green on the right. Change is the price of survival, isn't it?
Thank you.
John?
Jack, I was wondering, seeing Barbara out there today, is that the first time she's caddied for you at the...
Well, I normally have one, yes, it is, but I normally have one of the grandkids, and of course, we couldn't bring anybody except our spouses this time. And so last night I said to her, I said, I think it'd be kind of fun if you would put on a caddy uniform and do that. And she said, oh, I don't want to do that. I said, yeah, you do. It'll be fun. You'll enjoy it. Everybody loves you, and it'll be a treat for the people. And so Barbara put it on. She's right in the back right there. And so she did that. And I don't know whether I can afford to get home after a fee.
Christine?
Yes, thank you, Ron. First of all, Jack and Gary, just thank you for being such amazing role models to a girl growing up in Toledo, Ohio, who loved golf. Thank you. Jack, sir, with all due respect, as you know, I wanted to speak with you before I wrote my column about your very public support of President Trump. So I'd love to ask this now, if I may. You are known as the ultimate gracious sportsman, and throughout your career.
I can't hear you, Christine.
No, it's hard to hear.
I'm sorry, I'll start again. First of all,
No,
thanks.
I heard up to that point, you started talking about sportsmen.
Yes, sir. You are known as the ultimate gracious sportsman in the game of golf and really throughout sports. Certainly with your career with Ryder Cups, the way you've handled victory and defeat and the like. And I'm just curious, what is your advice to President Trump on how to accept defeat? Thank you.
I think I've said enough about that. I don't think this is a place for politics.
We have a remote question coming in to Augusta National. Jack, this is the 10th anniversary of your first honorary starters appearance in 2010. What comes to mind when you came to
Pardon me?
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry.
This is the 10th anniversary of being an honorary
Oh,
starter.
it is?
Yes, sir.
Oh.
I was trying to ask what your memories were of your first appearance as the honorary starter.
My first appearance of it, I don't remember.
With Arnold Palmer?
No, I know that, but I don't remember
Okay.
what we did. We got on the first tee and hit a ball.
Okay.
But I mean, I don't remember much about it. It wasn't a big, we did less like today. There wasn't a big ceremony today. Basically just introduced Gary, introduced me, they introduced Arnold.
Okay.
We hit a ball.
Okay.
I mean, it was different. At that point in time, I was not sure that I wanted to be an honorary starter because I still felt I could still play.
Yes, sir.
How wrong I was.
Yeah.
But that's okay. But you know, as time goes on, it's grown on me to be something that I've really looked forward to and enjoyed. And, you know, and I really enjoyed today because, you know, Gary hits the ball so much further than I do now, and nobody can see the drives where they went, so it was okay.
We have another question to come in from remote. It's talking about what is your thoughts on the sudden growth of the game this year? There's been a huge spike in the number of play everywhere we think in the world. Golf may be up 10 or 15% in rounds played since April of this year. Does that growth, do you think, now sustainable with more families and children coming to the game?
Are you talking to me now?
Both of you, we really welcome your comments.
Well, obviously, COVID is a very serious thing. But in regards to golf, it's the result of more rounds being played probably in the last X amount of months that any club has ever had. The golf courses are thriving with the number of rounds. I think more young people are coming out, which is great to see, with their parents, with mother and fathers. I've noticed a lot more of that because I was locked down in Philadelphia for 8 months. I came for 3 days and stayed with my daughter for 8 months. The price was right, but it's made a big difference, and we all want to see golf. It's such an incredible game. You know, most sports are play and away. If you play in an NFL, if you play for 3 years, you're doing well, unless you're a Tom Brady. But in golf, here I'm 85 years of age, hitting off the first tee, still averaging, if I really get focused, a par round of golf. So golf is something that we really love, and we have great appreciation for what golf has done for us in our lives. And I don't know what we would have done in our careers if we weren't golfers, and to come here and drive through Magnolia Lane there and to be playing with, I'd like to endorse what that lady said about Jack. He is definitely, well, he's my best friend in golf and best friend I've ever had in golf, and a man that I think you hit the nail on the head, the most gracious. I've always said Jack Nicklaus was the greatest gentleman I ever played golf with in my life. And you know, gave a few examples. Arnold Palmer, to grow up with him, this great icon, this charismatic man, and to have had a career traveling around the world with these two guys. I don't know if you'll ever have a big three in that manner again. Playing-wise, probably, but to have such fierce competitors and have such respect for each other, and to travel the globe several times, many times, promoting the game of golf, makes you feel good, that you feel, well, maybe you have contributed to more people playing golf.
You know, I think that to answer your question, it's, I think it's great. People haven't had a lot to be able to do the last few months, and to be able to get out on the golf course. I know we were shut down in Palm Beach County for quite a while, and the guys were going to Martin County to play golf because they could play up there. And then Martin County got so many golfers, they had to show that you were a resident of Martin County to be able to play. Well, anyway, we just, one of the things, we're looking for all kinds of initiatives to improve the number of people playing the game and bring people into the game and keep them into the game. And we just had, last week, we had the National Doubles Golf Championship at the Bears Club. And it's something I am involved in because the gentleman came to me, Bob Longmire, and he came to me and he said, Jack, this is the idea. And he started the junior golf leagues at PGA, and they're all over the world now, and it's been very successful. And so he explained doubles golf, and doubles golf really is the same as we play at the father-son, which is select your tee shots, and then you keep, it's a two-man scramble, basically is what it is. And but we had this national championship at a club at the first time. I said, and what I liked about it is that, you know, if you've got somebody who plays 3 or 4 times a year and somebody who plays a lot of golf, you can put them together and play. And the guy who plays 2 or 3 times a year is not embarrassed because he didn't have to play his golf ball, and or she. And you can have handicaps with 10 or 15 different people, and you play little events, and it brings people into the game. So that's one of the initiatives that we've had. I've been involved in that, and I was involved in junior golf leagues too. But we're all looking for things to bring people into the game and keep them in the game. And hopefully, with what's happened with COVID and the increased number of play, it's really brought the game of golf back to people who have been playing. And if that's the case, it increases our, the number of people, rounds that we have, and the enjoyment that people get out of the game. Then I think well, COVID's not a plus certainly, but what it did for golf is probably okay right now.
Good, thank you, sir. Luke?
Yes, just over here. Mr. Nicklaus and Mr. Player, I'm curious what you think are the best qualities in a golf swing that help it age well over time and help players avoid injury later in their careers.
Are you saying what would avoid injuries?
Yeah, how can a player avoid injuries in their golf swing?
Well, it's very simple. Exercise is one of the best ways to do it. And exercise intelligently and know what you've got to exercise for your particular body, because everybody's body's different. Secondly, is what you eat. I've always thought that exercise, I prioritize them, and I put exercise at 60 and eating at 40. I now put eating at 60% and eating at 40, because as you get older, you put on weight, and weight stops a train. And when you get heavier, and then you try and swing with the same force that you did as a young person, which you can't do, but you're trying to do it, and it's all relative what age you are, that's a quick way to get an injury. And the other thing is you've got to stretch. It's imperative. I'm in the racehorse business, and before a horse races, they take his leg and they stretch it back, and they exercise it, and they give it like a long striding thing to exercise, otherwise a horse breaks down. So you've got to exercise, and we're finding out now, as we're seeing, golf is going to another level now. I started exercising with weight training in 1944, when my brother went to a war to fight with the Americans and the Allies at 17. And then you see Tiger Woods come along and endorse it, because at my time, the only exercise that was done by the players was taking an olive from one martini to another. And so there was virtually no such thing. I mean, I was condemned and criticized and ridiculed. You can't believe doing weights in those days. And one famous golf architect said, Gary Player will never win a tournament past 35. Well, I won a tournament on the senior tour at 63. So that's how much he knew. And people know a hell of a lot about nothing when it comes to exercise. You've only got to see some of the golf channels or the networks were still saying that the reason Tiger Woods was playing badly and Rory was playing badly because they were lifting too heavy a weight. Well, that's nonsense. Now we come along and we have a new man who's taken it to another level, Bryson DeChambeau, who I admire so much and is such a thorough gentleman and highly intelligent man who is, they were saying, here comes the scientist, here comes the kook. Well, he is a scientist. He's taken it to another level, and we're seeing things that we never thought would ever happen. Obviously, the equipment also does help to a large degree, and this is something Jack and I have been advocating for I don't know how long. They've got to cut the ball back, and they will cut the ball back. They're going to drive this first green at Augusta. In fact, DeChambeau, if it was not this wet weather, if it was firm weather, he'd drive it on the green. And taking a 3-wood and putting it on the third green. We're seeing things we never thought of. And let me tell you, we're in our infancy. You've got players coming along, I don't know how many years' time, that'll carry the ball past where DeChambeau ends up now. You haven't had a big man play golf other than George Bayer, who played the Turwin Wheel. You play with these football players. Their game is, as I mentioned, it's play and away. Now they see us and the prize money and the longevity of the sport. I mean, all these great athletes, Michael Jordan, all of them, all going to golf now. I played with, who's the famous basketball player, big guy, I played with him the other day. He's playing golf. They're all playing golf. So we ain't seen nothing yet, as they say in the classic. We ain't seen nothing yet. And I said on BBC with a famous golf commentator at least 20, 25 years ago that players would be hitting the ball 400 yards. And he scoffed at me and said, you're talking rubbish. Now I'm going to make a statement and say, I don't know. Look, first of all, I don't know how far the ball can go. It'd be very interesting for me to hear what is the limit. But I don't know what the limit may be, but don't be surprised if you see them hit at 500, because these guys are so big and so strong, it's frightening. And they'll be using a long driver. Of course, there's a limit on what I suppose that you can use. I don't know. Is there a limit, Jack? 48. 48? But they might have
49, I don't know.
Yeah, but they might have to change that as well, because now we're seeing things that we never thought we'd see. Now you've got a man who's 7 foot tall. Are you going to tell him he's got to use a club that he's down here like this? No. So they might have to change that rule as they've changed other rules. So really, I'd love to be around in 40 years' time just to see what's happening. So the only way, and the sad thing is that we're going to be playing at St Andrews, the home of golf, in a few years' time. The guys will drive 9 greens there. They'll drive, on a calm day, they'll drive 9 greens. So where are we going to see Bryson on a normal sunny day hit a drive and a wedge at the second hole? A drive and a wedge at number 13, a drive and a 9-iron at 15. Where are we going? I mean, you can't make the tees go back any further. It was embarrassing for me because I once made a statement that was so incorrect. I said, Augusta are the one golf course that's trying to stay abreast with the change of the ball and equipment. They can't go back in the streets. So what did they do? They bought the 2 highways, and the tees are back in the streets virtually. And they're going to go back further, I would imagine, in the future. I can't speak on their behalf. But really, it's really scary, and we've got to, and the golf manufacturers are not keen to have that. But the best ball, there are no best balls on the market today. If you take the 4 best or the 5 best balls, there's no difference. They're not allowed to be different as far as distance is concerned. So the one who markets the ball the best will be the top ball. So if you cut the ball back, they're not going to drop in sales whatsoever.
You done?
I'm done.
Mr. Nicklaus?
What was your question again? No, I'm all right. Exercise, Gary's the ultimate of the epitome of exercise. He's done that ever his whole life. And I think, Gary has always been, not big, so he's had to do that to do it. When we grew up here, nobody lifted weights. Not even the football players lifted weights when I was growing up. And so we didn't do that. I started lifting some weights about the time I got to be about 40 years old to start for tone. I've worked out, I ran most of my life until I couldn't. And, I've done, I do following Pete Yaskew's exercises, which I do twice a day. And I've missed one day since Thanksgiving 1988, I believe it was. So I exercise every day. I don't do the level that Gary does. Maybe if I did the level that Gary does, I'd be, the shape that he's in wonderful shape. My body's sort of broken down in a lot of ways, but, Gary's sort of the unusual one that gets that thing. I'm not, but I'm doing pretty well at 80 years old. And as I say, I exercise every day. I don't do, my back has been so bad, I haven't been able to do any walking, so I walk in the swimming pool. And Barbara and I do that virtually probably 5-6 days a week at home. And I think you do what you have to do, but I agree totally with Gary that exercise is important, diet is important. And, I don't know I can't remember what all he said about the golf ball and how far the golf ball went and how far they hit it, but he is right that we are getting longer, and they will drive the first green here at Augusta under the right conditions. But, and even now I know that they've sanded all the fairways but 2 here, and they're supposed to do that this winter, is that right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, so they put a new base under there so they'll drain better. And when they get that and you get some dryish conditions in the springtime, there will be several holes here that you'll get the ball awfully close to if the equipment remains the same. I believe, and Gary said, that they will bring the golf ball back. I believe that they probably would have brought it back this year if it wasn't for COVID, and or at least they would have thought about it or got serious about bringing it back. But both the USGA and the R&A said they're serious about it, and I went to them for the first time in 1977 about the golf ball, and I remember Bobby Jones wrote in his book that I think he says the one thing that we've got to watch out for in the future is how far the golf ball goes. This is 1930. And so, it's always been an issue. I think that, and I don't, if we had unlimited land and we had, unlimited resources, then I don't think it really makes a whole lot of difference. But there's not many places that has that. I think, and I'm not saying Augusta is unlimited, but Augusta is the only golf course that I know in the world that's been able to keep up with the changes in equipment. And but nobody else has a land or really has the ability to afford to do that. And so they have to make some changes with it. Otherwise, it's all the old golf courses, all the strategy and everything else that you've had on golf courses is gone. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. And I changed the way I design now. I used to design from the back tees and move forward, and used to just use a progression of yardages. Don't do that anymore. Design from the members' tees now, and so the members have the appropriate strategy on the golf course, and then I just go back and start putting back tees back where I think it's appropriate for what the strategy is, rather than the other way around. So, and you have to do that with equipment. So, I don't think I want to knock the equipment. The equipment today is better than the equipment we played with. It just so happens that it is the equipment we played with. I mean, we played with steel shafts and wooden heads and, blades and stuff like that. And, I loved it. I didn't have any issues with it. Now they play with stuff that's much easier to play with. I don't know whether that makes you a better golfer or not, but probably brings more golfers into the game, and because it is a little easier to play, and then we have more good golfers today, I think, than we've ever had in the game. So maybe the equipment is a plus. I'm not sure.
But you're talking about the changing the ball for the pros, not for the amateurs.
No, they'll change it for everybody, Gary.
For everybody.
Yeah, they don't want to bifurcate. They don't want to bifurcate golf balls. I think that's, I don't know what they're developing. I haven't been privy to that, but my guess is that they're developing a golf ball that the faster the club head speed, the progression is less as you go down. I don't know whether that's the right word or not, but if you swing at 120 25 mile an hour, you'll be limited to this. If you're swinging at 100 mile an hour, you won't get as much, you won't lose as much distance. If you go to 90, you won't lose hardly any distance at all. In other words, a progression of working down so that the average golfer's not hurt, but you try to rein in the longer hitters so that you're not ruining every golf course that's there. I'm guessing that. I really don't know. And I'm not sure that you get an answer from the USGA at this point because I'm not sure they know either.
Because the golf courses are definitely, for the average golfer, too tough.
Yeah, they don't want to bifurcate, Gary. They don't want to bifurcate. They don't want to have one ball for the pro, one ball for the average golfer. You know, if you look at it, and I've said this many times, that I like what's happening today to I don't know how we got on this subject, but anyway, it's all about exercise, I'm sorry. But I look at that, it's when we switched back in about 1970, 71, 72, whenever it was, when we switched from the small ball to the large ball. The small ball back then went 50 yards further than the large ball. And we had switched to, we'd been to the large ball in this country for a long time. And then when they switched in Britain and the rest of the world, they had I think a grandfather clause of 8 or 10 years or something like that. And they, so that the pros wanted to play the big ball because they thought it was more difficult to play and they had to be more skillful to play it. So they did that, and then amateur golf started going that way. And pretty soon the average golfer says, hey, I don't want to play a ball that you guys are not playing. I want to play the same golf ball. And so that's when they switched to the big ball everywhere. And I promise you, it was at least 50 yards difference. I know at home at Lost Tree where I live, there's a little lake at the end of the driving range. And if we had a big strong wind, I could get it to it. But most of the time I could hit all the drivers I want and never reach the lake. So when I got working on the prepper for the British Open, I remember Angelo my caddy was with me, and I said, Angelo, other side of the lake to retrieve the golf balls because I just hit it that much further. So anyway, I kind of liked how far that ball went, but I think in all fairness to the game of golf, I don't think it's probably a good thing. Enough on that subject, I'm sorry.
Excuse me. We have received another remote question. Tiger hosted the Champions Dinner earlier this week, albeit in a different environment. What was that night like, and what are your favorite Champion Dinner memories? And Gary, may we start with you?
Well, Tiger was really remarkable at the dinner this year as a host. And it was very heartwarming to listening to him speak. He said he was on the way to the golf course and he had to stop because he had tears in his eyes and paused for a little while on the road because he, was a lot of memories were going through his mind very quickly as I interpreted what he was saying, and to have won the tournament again with his children there. And he paused for a while and he spoke very, very well. And it was a lovely evening. So I have wonderful recollections of the dinner, having been there for almost 64 times or whatever it is. And Sam Snead was always hilarious with his stories. But I think the memories of Bobby Jones being there. And, I was very naive of Bobby Jones. Jack actually always told me a lot about Bobby Jones. And the latter years now I've become to make him one of my heroes. He might have been the best player that ever lived. I mean, if you look at the way he swung the club, and they used a walking stick as a shaft, and a ball that went 80 yards less, and they never changed the pins one day, and you raked the bunkers with your feet, and they had mowers that cut the fairways that high, and the greens were like putting on a semi-little piece of fairway. It's remarkable the scores that man did. And Jack was the one who was telling me this all the time. So I really enjoyed my last dinners at the Masters with Bobby Jones. And then Ben Hogan, who was the straightest hitter I ever saw in my life. listening to him. And one of the stories that happened there, we were sitting there one night, and I just won the tournament in 61. So in 62, he originated the dinner, so he was sitting here, and I'm sitting next to him, and he was a man of very few words, to say the least. So Horton Smith, who was the first Masters winner, had a little book that he was passing around and was coming around, and I noticed this book, and it was put in front of me, and then I looked at the book and all the signatures there, and I signed it, and I put it in front of Mr. Hogan. Just watch me. He sat there like this, and he pondered for a minute, and he stood up. Now, everybody's very quiet and talking, and he took the book like this, and he went, pow, like that on the desk. Everybody got such a shock because he's so quiet. He said, who passed this goddamn book up here? Horton Smith says, Ben, I did. I've got a junior at my club, and, I want to encourage him to play with all the Masters champions. He says, Horton, this is the Masters Club, not so-and-so autograph session club. Don't you ever do that again. And Horton Smith just sat down. We were all shocked. And now you see at the dinner hundreds of flags being signed for all the different charities, which is marvelous. As the Scots say, he would turn in his grave.
It's an autograph session now.
Yeah, it's an autograph. And I tell you, I tell you what, he would not, I cannot speak on behalf of him, but would you agree with me? He wouldn't go to the Masters dinner now with all that going on.
I don't know, Gary. But I would say he would not. It would be different.
It would be different.
But the Masters dinner is always great fun for all of us. It's the opportunity to come back and see guys that we haven't been with for a long time, and usually maybe see once a year, and that's here. And this year we probably had the smallest attendance we've ever had, probably because of COVID. I think the guys traveling, and we only had, I think, 5 or 6 that weren't there. So that's pretty good. And it's really very good. And the guys really enjoy it. Gary made a great talk, and Ben Crenshaw runs it, and Ben looked over at me, and I said, I don't want to follow that. Absolutely. Not a chance. Gary said everything there was to say. And Bernard Langer made a very nice talk, and he talked a little bit about the international players and how they would never have achieved what they've achieved in recognition and so forth if it hadn't been for the Masters and so forth. And I thought it was, I thought both Gary's and Bernhard's talks were very, very nice. And every year we have that. We have a couple of drinks. We have dinner. The champion chooses the menu every year, and you whether you like it or not, you eat it. And that's what we do. And it doesn't make any difference. I remember, I mean, Sandy Lyle had haggis, and those of you who've had haggis, it may not be one of your favorites, and it may be one of your favorites. But anyway, it doesn't make any difference. It's the Masters dinner, and it's his choice. And Gary was right. Tiger was very emotional. I've never seen Tiger that way, but it was good, and it was good. It's always good. It's always very, very. You always walk away with some feeling of something that you hadn't had before.
Good. Thank you for
I've got to enlarge on the haggis.
Yeah.
Because, man, I don't know if you've ever had it, but if you haven't had it, it's wicked. And these guys were sitting there like this and eating this stuff. And we all went to put our jackets on, and I went to the men's room, and they were all sitting like this. They were all puking their hearts out.
Oh, come on, that wasn't that bad.
Shut up and eat it.
It wasn't that bad. I didn't try it. I've had haggis.
We have time for about 3 more questions. We'll start
A
with
couple of gentlemen in the back.
Jay Busby.
Gary, I wonder if we could go back to the South Africa trip with Lee Elder. What was the impetus behind that, and what were the negotiations like to make that happen?
You know, it's a terrible thing to sit here and to think that, the value of freedom when you lived in a country where there was not freedom. And I had this idea of bringing Lee Elder to South Africa to make some change in certain ways. And it's so sad to think that you had to go and get permission. And I went to our president at the time, And I'd played a bit of golf with him, and of which I was criticized for playing with him. I don't play for a man with these political views. I play golf. So anyway, I went and I asked him, and isn't it sad you had to go and ask somebody to come to your country? This was Mr. Foster.
Foster.
Yeah. And I sat in his office and I said, I'd like to try and make a change in apartheid in sport. And he looked at me and he had these big eyebrows and he was a staunch believer in it. And I looked at him right in the eyes and it seemed like forever to get an answer. And he said, go ahead, which was really very comforting. And Lee was fantastic. They all loved him. And of course, the majority of people didn't believe in that system at that time. And, but you know, we had a government that was in control. And so it was, I think, you know, I was called a traitor in the Cape Town airport. And Lee had a lot of people, majority, saying, don't dare go there. And it took a lot of courage on his behalf. So I put all the accolades onto Lee.
Next question to John Sutcliffe.
Buenos días. For Mr. Player, you celebrated your 85th birthday recently, and some of us helped you in social media to the fight against cancer. I just wanted to ask you how it went and how important it is for you to celebrate your cumpleaños helping the fight of cancer, Don Gary Player.
Well, everybody was very, very generous, including Jack and Barbara. Of course, Jack and I have two of them. And Arnold, we've been very blessed in that we have such incredible wives. To reach 85 is, I'm very grateful for that because most of my friends are dead at 85. And it was a very happy birthday because we were with a lot of our family who live in Philadelphia. So it was a wonderful birthday. Thank you very much. And you know, it's I think if you've got friends in the world, you're a very wealthy man. And honestly, I got hundreds of emails and texts and good wishes, of which I try my best to answer to all of them. So it was and I think as you get older, you realize the sun is setting and you appreciate birthdays a little bit more than when you were younger. And the fight for cancer, it's a PGA organized charity. Had a very nice letter from Jay Monahan, and I compliment the PGA on fighting, which I think is where we should be putting more efforts into. I find it very interesting when you think of how many people are dying of cancer, heart attacks, diabetes, that there's not more said about that. And there probably, if you look at obesity-related diseases, close to 2 to 3 million people a year in America die. Obesity is killing more people than any one particular disease. So it's time for the youth of a nation, who are the trustees of posterity, to start being taught in the schools. When you look at this pandemic now, and you look at the diseases that we faced throughout history, schools and parents have got to be emphatic in teaching their children to exercise and to eat properly. But the schools are taking exercise out of the schools, which I find very strange.
Nick Proto, we have time for 2 more questions.
Ready. Jack, on Tuesday, Tiger was asked about his age as he now approaches 45, and he cited that he wants to be here for a long time, referencing you competing well into your mid to late 50s. Have you had any talks with him, passed along any words of wisdom as he starts to get a little bit more up there in age?
He's pretty much a kid as far as I'm concerned. Tiger and I talked a little bit. I don't see Tiger very often, but I've seen him a little bit. And, you know, we talked a little bit, we did talk a little bit about age last time. We talked about our bodies. And, you know, when Gary and I saw Tiger, what was that, 2 months ago, 6 weeks ago, whatever it was, he could hardly walk. His back was killing him so much. And, you know, and we talked about what he'd done and so forth. He said he's pretty good now, he said. So he said, should be able to play all right. But as we get older, we get dings, you know, and it's, all those things, they hurt. And you're certainly not going to get less as you get older. You're going to get more. And Tiger understands that. I think he's very real about it. And we talked about it. He says, I'm having more fun, you know, out with Charlie and Sam and his kids and watching them do different things and be involved. He says, Charlie's now started to play golf. He says, he's got a really good swing. He says, I'm teaching him, but I'm getting, I got blades in his hands, so he learns how to play golf rather than play with all the forgiving golf clubs. And I think he's very wise about that. That's what his father did to him. His father took the older equipment that we played with to teach Tiger. And I think that's why Tiger was such a good player. He learned to play with equipment that was tougher to play with. Well, anyway, those are the kind of things we talked about. And he's been enjoying his time at home and enjoying that, and he still wants to play. And I think Gary asked him, and he said, yes, I hope I have. I said, I think I have another one in me, but you know, and he may have more than one in him. But Tiger's no different than the rest of us, you know. What we do, it takes a toll on our bodies.
Hey, our last question is from Alan Blinder.
Good morning. Jack, given the absence of patrons this week, I wanted to ask you about 1986 when you were on 9, you heard some noise from 8 and started talking to your own gallery of fans. And I wanted to ask just what went through your mind then, what unfolded? I mean, did you think that firing up your own gallery might give you some momentum, and how did they affect you in 86?
Well, you know, I think the gallery certainly helped me a lot in that time. It was, you know, they were pretty vocal, and it was nice to have that, the support and the people behind me. And, you know, I enjoyed it very much. You know, and to the converse, you know, I obviously didn't enjoy it very much when maybe like in 1962 at the U.S. Open when Arnold was, you know, had the gallery. And I think Arnold was he was embarrassed by it. But, you know, Arnold was a king. I was rooting for Arnold. You know, I mean, that big difference. I was a big Arnold Palmer fan when I was young. So, you know, it's the game of golf is different. A lot of guys feed off the gallery. Of the guys that are out there today, I'm not sure. Rory McIlroy probably feeds more off of the gallery than any of them. I think Rory's a very big gallery favorite. I assume that's what your question is. Is that right?
I was more just asking how they affected you in 86 and if you drew any.
How it affected me?
How it affected you.
Well, okay. Well, I think that I fed off of it. I think that you have a few times in your life that you get the gallery that is fantastic. And I can think of 3 occasions that were very, very special occasions to me. Was 78 a British Open at St. Andrews, and the people were hanging out of the windows up there, coming up the 18th hole, and then an 80 at Baltusrol, and you know, New York City's pretty raucous crowd to start with, and you know, I kept worrying about somebody knocking me down going from green to tee, and they tried to pat you on the back and cheer it, and it was very special. But and then of course here at Augusta, they don't get that close to you, but it was the gallery was loud. Those were the 3 major times that I can remember. I won all 3 occasions, so it must have had some effect on me. But it's I think they'll miss the gallery this week. I think they've missed it all year. I think that one of the problems is that the guys are getting used to playing without crowds, and they've been in this COVID bubble, and I think they're worried about getting out of it and getting sick, because if they get sick, I mean, we had dinner. Barbara and I had dinner with Ricky Fowler and his wife the other night, and Ricky he says, we haven't been out much. He says, you know, I said, well, we'll keep you safe. You know, we'll keep it. So we had dinner in a corner, and, you know, and nobody was anywhere near us. And And he says, this is not a time of year I want to get sick. I mean, we were already there when we were talking about it. And he says, yes, and I said, next 2 weeks, this is a time that, we get sick and say we're out 2 weeks, and certainly I don't want to miss the Masters. So I can understand what's going on now, but I think this is an aberration. So you got to watch out for, what it is. But you don't want it to carry on and have it be forever. I mean, we were supposed to be the first tournament, the Memorial Tournament with Gallery in July. And the players were saying, hey, I'm not sure we want to play because of, thing. And so the tour came back and said, no, we decided we'd like to not have Gallery. And I said, well, that's your call, not our call. And so that's what they did. But they got to have to get back to normalization of people out there watching them play and so forth. And here at Augusta, you got people coming from all over the world, so I can understand why no Gallery, and I think it's probably, it won't be the same, but it'll be what it is, and we'll get through it. We always get through it. And come next April, I think you're going to see a lot of people who missed the Masters this year.
That's good. I think it's quite appropriate to conclude this wonderful session with Jaime Diaz.
Thank you, sir. Gary and Jack, Rory's going for the Grand Slam for the 6th time here at the Masters. You guys each, Jack, you won it more than once, I know, but you concluded it at 66 at Muirfield and Gary in 65 at Belle Reve. I just wondered, did you sense a special determination or mindset for that effort? Or did you try to just keep it, in the same perspective as any other major tournament? And if so, what perhaps advice or any wisdom you might pass along to Rory in terms of how to best approach this mentally?
Well, if I may, Gary, I think both Gary and I won it so young as far as winning it. I mean, you were
29.
Were you 29 when you won at Belle Reve? Yeah. That was when you finished your years. And of course, I was 26 at Muirfield. I never even thought about it, Jaime. I was interested in winning it all in 1 year. And when I won them all, 66, I said, I sort of felt like, I sort of felt like I was disappointed. I didn't win more that year. But that was my attitude then. As I got a little older, I realized that was not a very practical attitude. And I a lot of times say, if I didn't win the Masters, my year was gone. And I think that was a very unrealistic approach. But as you get older, your realistic approaches get a little bit more realistic. I don't know whether that's said right or not, but anyway, it was. It's nice when you turn around and I remember Gary and I had a picture taken not long after that was at Westchester with you and Hogan and Saracen and me. Mm-hmm. And a nice picture. I love that picture. I keep that picture. We have that picture, sitting on a table, and it's a nice picture and one to remember that there were only 4 guys at that time. I guess there's only 5 now, Tiger. So I guess it's a pretty special group, Jaime.
Anything to Rory in terms of?
I'm sorry. Yeah, that was your question, wasn't it? Same thing I'd say to Roy anytime. Just be patient. Your time will come. He's too good not to have it come.
In 19, we both obviously we were both ambitious to win the Grand Slam in 1 year. In 1974, I won the Masters and the British Open, and I finished, I think, 9th at Wingfoot and 4th in the PGA. That was our dream. But in regards to the final tournament, which, so many people needed, Arnold Palmer needed the PGA, Sam Snead. I played at a golf course the other day where he needed a 6 to win the US Open, but they didn't have the information and the scoreboards that he had today and tried to gamble. He thought he needed a birdie. He lost it. So there have been a lot of players that needed the Grand Slam a tournament, a final tournament. Tom Watson, I think, he needs the PGA, if I'm not mistaken, or whatever it is. There are a lot of players that needed to win the final tournament. So to me, when I came along, and Jack was very instrumental. He said to me, "You want to win the Grand Slam? Why don't you come with me and practice at Belle Reve?" I said, "Jack, you know, I don't have that kind of money." I said, I've got to go to Greensboro. He said, "Well, if you want to win, come with me." And I went with him. Reluctantly, I went. And then Jack went back home and I stayed on. But I prepared in a very, very special way. I never went to dinner with people. I did a lot of yoga and mindset and sort of almost brainwashing. I did some very extraordinary things, which I won't go into, in my room to do it, and a lot of mindsets. And I teed off believing, and this is what I believe Rory's got to do. He's not going to do what I did because he's not familiar with what I did, but he's got to tee off and say, I believe I'm going to do it. The big thing is, if you look at superstars in the game, which there have probably been about 12 or 15 in the history of golf, superstars I'm talking about, they believed that they were going to do it. And a lot of players tell you they believe, but when that bell rings and they get on that tee, there's something that they don't believe. And I think he's got to actually get up there and say, he's got to start meditating, he's got to start believing that he can do it, because time goes by. And actually, he's on a golf course, he should be saying to himself, this is the ideal golf course for me. I hit a draw, it's made for me, I'm long off the tee, and I believe I'm going to do it. And eliminate all negative thoughts. And that's not easy to do.
Right over here.
It is the mindset that he's got to have to win the tournament. He's got the game, but you've got to have that mindset to win the Grand Slam.
Well, thank you, ladies and gentlemen, and to Mr. Player, Mr. Nicklaus. It's an honor to be in your presence. We hope everybody stay safe, stay healthy, enjoy the Masters. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Great job.